Still to come this morning, our Surviving the Workplace series. Minding Your Business examines the glass ceiling concept. We'll talk about what you can do to tackle that obstacle at your job. Just break it. Right,
yeah, go right ahead.
Next guy.
And we'll talk with Cynthia Fowler about her new book. It's called Life on the Lumber Farm, The Forgotten Industry of the Bahamas.
Okay, all that and straight ahead, of course, but of course we're going to take a second look at our ZNS News headlines with Anthony Ace Newell. Is called Life on the Lumber Farm, the Forgotten Industry of the Bahamas. We're very pleased to have her here with us this morning, Cynthia Fowler. Welcome to Bahamas at Sunrise.
It's a pleasure to be here, Tishka.
Now, of course, I'm just seeing the book and I'm fascinated by it, but give us a brief synopsis. What's the book all about? It seems a little obvious from the title, but there's a lot more going on, so don't think, oh, what's wrong with Tishka?
Of course. Life on the Lumber Farm is about a once bustling lumber industry that existed on the island of Andros during the 1940s through 1960s.
Okay.
It tells about the people who lived there, their way of life, and their struggle for survival. Mm-hmm. It not only gives detailed information on lumber making, but it also tells about bits and pieces of other historical facts, such as the sisal industry, sponging industry, charcoal manufacturing, etc., etc.
Okay, now a quick question. When we talk about lumber industry in Andros, was the entire island involved in the lumber industry, or was it just like, let's say, the north or the central? Was it North Andros only? Or?
No, it was in the central district of Andros called Stafford Creek, in the Stafford Creek constituency. It was in that area that was used by actually, let me back up a bit. During the turn of the 20th century, Bahamas Timber Company, an American firm, got a lease for 100 years to harvest pulpwood from Bahamas. And they first got started actually in Abaco.
Okay.
Then they went on to Grand Bahama.
Right, I was about to say those are the pine areas.
Then, yes.
The north
then
and
Andros. Andros was the last stop.
So where did the inspiration for the book come from? Why did you decide to write Lumber Farm?
Well, at an early age of 7, my mom took me to Andros.
And she's a native of Andros?
She's a native of South Andros, but actually she took me to Central Andros, and she was in search of a job, and this big business opened down there. People from all over the Bahamas and even the USA came and worked there. Turks and Caicos, you name it, and they were there, worked at the lumber location.
Okay, this is the big job here, the lumber farm?
Yes, it was a big thing, yes.
Now, we were talking about it, I was going through the book and I saw that apparently there was a settlement called Pure Gold in Andros. I've never heard of it, never seen it on the maps. And you said, was your mom from Pure Gold?
Yeah, my mom was from Pure Gold.
Tell me where Pure Gold was, and I mean, why was it called Pure Gold?
Well, Pure Gold is in the southern point of Andros. Actually, back in, I imagine in the 30s and 40s, Pure Gold was a major settlement. If you check the archives, you would see where there was schedule of boats leaving Pure Gold. And it was actually called Pure Gold, I understand, it's either because of the gold coconuts or because of, it is believed that pirates buried the gold there, and persons from other countries would come and exploit Pure Gold in search of gold.
Wow. Well, I'd like to think that it was named because of the gold. The gold, yeah.
Yes,
gold coconuts is nice. That sounds like jelly coconut. Now, you also write about a simpler time in Andros, of course, when you were growing up, the way things used to be. I mean, you can go to Andros now and think you're living the simpler time.
Yes,
anyway.
it's very
do you think
much
that things have changed, or you think a lot of it has remained the same?
Well, a lot of it, the island life remains the same in Andros, except for some people. Well, of course, it's more technical now, and people have inside plumbing and TV and all that. But in my time, the lumber location or lumber farm consisted of a network of lanes. It was the front lane, the back lane, down the lane, up the lane. And we fetched water from a pitcher pump, and food was cooked on a kerosene, those who were fortunate, a kerosene stove, or a big iron, those round iron stove with red hot coals. They were cooked on that. And
okay, because when you tell the story now, of course, I'm looking at you.
yes.
You seem timeless.
Thank
you tell
you.
a good story. I'm wondering how old you are, but don't tell us. I'll leave that a mystery. But I want you to tell me about the writing process. How long did it take you to get the book published? You know, why did you decide I'm going to write this book? Was it difficult? What was that?
Well, it was on my heart for quite a while, but I decided that I would write a book of poetry first.
Okay.
Because the poetry was sort of helped me to get rid of the frustrations that I experienced at the time when I wrote it, and it also helped a lot of other persons. And it told a little bit about, you know, the lumber location too. But I wrote this book because I felt it was such a rich history, and it had such an impact on my life as a child, living there. You know, the experience, the simple school that we went to, the you know, the simple life, all the lumber. You know what amazes me? It was so much lumber there at the time. And now, if you want one piece of lumber, you have to purchase it.
Yes.
I mean, it was lumber everywhere. Wow. Lumber shades filled with lumbers, all being prepared to ship to Nassau. You know, they had 3 rows of that were called just the lumber mills, and then they had one called the trimmer mill that trimmed the lumbers to the proper size and
So
put
it's
the
like
grooves
from
and
beginning
stuff.
to end, the
Yes,
entire finishing process.
yes, and also the planer mill and all that.
Oh, that sounds fascinating. Now, where can we find your books? Because I know you have a first book, actually. This is the second one. The first is Echoes from the Isles of the Bahamas. Now,
Yes.
where can we find your books? Are we interested in finding what lumber industry? Or
Oh, yes.
getting the
You
first
may purchase this book at the Island Bookstore on Bay Street.
Okay.
Logos at Harbor Bay. Chapter 1 in COB Chapter 1.
So we can find it, it's all over.
Yes.
Well, that's good. I mean, you can't miss now. Those are basically the major bookstores.
Yes,
So that's
and
not bad.
yes.
The book is called Life on the Lumber Farm, The Forgotten Industry of the Bahamas. Cynthia Fowler, it's been a pleasure talking to you. When you set out for Pure Gold to see what it's like, please don't forget, I want to go along.
I will,
And we hope
absolutely.
to sit with you again and listen to some more stories. I've actually enjoyed this.
Thank you, thank you.
Bahamas at Sunrise will be right back.